Magic Treehouse, Volume 1, Dinosaurs Before Dark by Mary Pope Osborne. Into the woods. Help, a monster, said Annie. Yeah, sure, said Jack. A real monster in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania. Run, Jack, said Annie. She ran up the road. Oh, brother, this is what he got for spending time with his 7-year-old sister. Annie loved pretend stuff, but Jack was 8 and a half. He liked real things. Watch out, Jack, the monster is coming. Race you. No thanks, said Jack. Annie raced alone into the woods. Jack looked at the sky. The sun was about to set. Come on, Annie, it's time to go home. But Annie had disappeared. Jack waited. No Annie. Annie, he shouted. Jack, come here. Jack groaned. This better be good, he said. Jack left the road and headed into the woods. The trees were lit with a golden late afternoon light. Come here, called Annie. There she was, standing under a tall oak tree. Look, she said. She was pointing at a rope ladder. The longest rope ladder Jack had ever seen. Wow, he whispered. The ladder went all the way up to the top of the tree. There at the top was a tree house. It was tucked between two branches. That must be the highest tree house in the world, said Annie. Who built it? Asked Jack. I have never seen it before. I don't know, but I'm going up, said Annie. No, we don't know who it belongs to, said Jack. Just for a teeny minute, said Annie. She started up the ladder. Annie, come back. She kept climbing. Jack sighed. Annie, it's almost dark. We have to go to home. Annie disappeared inside the treehouse. Annie! Jack waited a moment. He was about to call again when Annie poked her head out of the treehouse window. Books! She shouted. What? It's filled with books. Oh man! Jack loved books. He pushed his glasses into place. He gripped the sides of the rope ladder and up he went. Chapter 2, The Monster. Jack crawled through a hole in the treehouse floor. Wow, the treehouse was filled with books. Books everywhere. Very old books with dusty covers. New books with shiny, bright covers. Look, you can see far, far away, said Annie. She was peering out the treehouse window. Jack looked out the window with her. Down below were the tops of the other trees. In the distance, he saw the Frog Creek Library, the elementary school, the park. Annie pointed in the other direction. There is our house, she said. Sure enough, there was their white wooden house with a green porch. Next door was their neighbor's black dog, Henry. He looked very tiny. Hi, Henry, shouted Annie. Shh, said Jack. We are not supposed to be up here. He glanced around the treehouse again. I wonder who owns all these books, he said. He noticed bookmarks were sticking out of many of them. I like this one, said Annie. She held up a book with a castle on the cover. Here is a book about Pennsylvania, said Jack. He turned to the page with a bookmark. Hey, there's a picture of Frog Creek in here, said Jack. It's a picture of these woods. Oh, here's a book for you, said Annie. She held up a book about dinosaurs. A blue silk bookmark was sticking out of it. Let me see it. Jack set down his backpack and grabbed the book from her. You look at that one, and I look at the other about castles, said Annie. No, we better not, said Jack. We don't know who these books belong to. But even as he said this, Jack opened the dinosaur book to where the bookmark was. He couldn't help himself. He turned to a picture of an ancient flying reptile, a pteranodon. He touched the huge bat-like wings. Wow, whispered Jack. I wish I could see a pteranodon for real. Jack studied the picture of the odd-looking creature soaring through the sky. Ah, screamed Annie. What? Said Jack. A monster, Annie cried. She pointed to the treehouse window. Stop pretending, Annie, said Jack. No, really, said Annie. Jack looked out the window. A giant creature was gliding above the treetops. He had a long, weird crest on the back of his head, a skinny beak, and huge bat like wings. It was a real live pteranodon. The creature curved through the sky. He was coming straight towards the tree house. He looked like a glider plane. The wind began to blow, the leaves trembled. Suddenly, the creature soared up high into the sky. Jack nearly fell out of the window trying to see it. The wind picked up. It was whistling now. The tree house started to spin. What's happening? Cried Jack. Get down, shouted Annie. She pulled him back from the window. The tree house was spinning faster and faster. Jack squeezed his eyes shut. He held on to Annie. Then everything was still, absolutely still. Jack opened his eyes. Sunlight slanted through the window. There was Annie, the books, his backpack. The tree house was still high up in an oak tree, but it was not the same oak tree. Chapter 3. Where is Here? Jack looked out the window. He looked down at the picture in the book. He looked back out the window. The world outside and the world in the picture, they were exactly the same. The pteranodon was soaring through the sky. The ground was covered with ferns and tall grass. There was a winding stream, a sloping hill, and volcanoes in the distance. Where are we? Stammered Jack. The pteranodon glided down to the base of their tree. The creature coasted to a stop and stood very still. What happened to us? Said Annie. She looked at Jack. He looked at her. I don't know, said Jack. I was looking at the picture in the book. And you said, wow, I wish I could see Pteranodon for real, said Annie. Yay, and then we saw one in the Frog Creek woods, said Jack. Yay, and then the wind got loud and the tree house started spinning, said Annie. And we landed here, said Jack. And we landed here, said Annie. So that means, said Jack. So that means what? Said Annie. Nothing, said Jack. He shook his head. None of this can be real. Annie looked out the window again. Said, but he is real, she said. He is very real. Jack looked out the window with her. The pteranodon was standing at the base of the oak tree like a guard. His giant wings were spread out on either side of him. Hi, Annie, shouted. Shh, said Jack. We are not supposed to be here. But where is here? Said Annie. I don't know, said Jack. Hi, Annie called again to the creature. The pteranodon looked up at them. Where is Here? Annie called down. You are nuts. He can't talk, said Jack. But maybe the book can tell us. Jack looked down at the book. He read the words under the picture. This flying reptile lived in the Cretaceous period. It vanished 65 million years ago. No, impossible. They couldn't have landed in a time 65 million years ago. Jack, said Annie. He is nice. Nice? Yeah, I can tell. Let's go down and talk to him. Talk to him. Annie started down the rope ladder. Hey, shouted Jack, but Annie kept going. Are you crazy? Jack called. Annie dropped to the ground. She stepped boldly up to the ancient creature. Kindly watch my upcoming video for the next chapters.